Everyone loves football.
It's a Zach Gelb Show. Football Friday on Fox Sports 920, The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Fox Sports 920, The Jersey. The number, as always, 609-919-9200. Mark Eckel joins us each and every week in the football season at 5:15. Eagles do not play this weekend, but they are in action on Monday, and they will be playing the Chicago Bears. And now joining us on the hotline from NJ.com is Mark Eckel. Mark, welcome back to the show, and how are you?
I'm good, Zach. How are you?
Well, I'm doing great. Can't complain. So we saw Carson Wentz in week 1. I loved what I saw out of him. Give me your impressions. I know it was against the Browns, but what did you see out of the future of the Eagles and Carson Wentz?
Well, you had to be impressed with him, mainly because of the fact that, we hadn't seen anything of him except for 2 quarters against, Tampa Bay Buccaneer backups that probably most of whom didn't make the Tampa Bay Buccaneers roster. So that's all we really saw. And then he was hurt and didn't even practice for close to a month. And to come out and put up a quarterback rating of 101 in your first start with that limited work is quite impressive. And whether against, yes, it was against the Browns, and the Browns are the worst team in football. But still, you have to be impressed with his debut.
The thing I loved the most was his composure. He looked like he was a 10-year veteran out there. We'll see what he does this week against the Bears. I actually like the Eagles in this one this week. We'll get into that and your prediction later on in this interview as Mark Eckel joins us from NJ.com. But how about how comfortable he looked in his first career start, where I'm sure there were a lot of emotions?
Yeah, no, that was, he made a couple of real nice throws. But, I agree with you that what I was most impressed with was not just his composure and his poise, but the fact that I expected, and I thought the Eagles would beat the Browns last week just because I think the Eagles are better than the Browns. But he didn't make any crucial mistake, make any mistakes really, and not even close to a crucial mistake. He didn't even throw any passes that you say, oh man, the Browns should have picked that one off. That's the Browns are bad. They should have not. No, he didn't really throw. The only couple mistakes he made, and these are things I'm sure that the coaches went over him with, and he'll learn from, is he probably took a couple hits that he didn't have to take. Not even sacks. I'm talking about just getting hit a couple times. He probably should have got rid of the ball a little quicker. And then the one play that I didn't like, some people thought, what a great play. No, it was a bad play. It was 22-10. Eagles were ahead 22-10. There was a bad snap from center. And he went back and actually picked the ball up and then fired it incomplete down the sideline. Just follow the ball there, Carson. That's a play that you're ahead 22-10. You're playing the Browns. The Browns have only scored 10 points so far. They're following the ball, take the loss. Yes, he did save yards by throwing an incomplete pass instead of taking the 10-yard loss or so. But if the Browns do pick that pass off and bring it back, now all of a sudden they're back in the game, and who knows what happens after that. So, but that's the thing where he's a kid. He's trying to make a play there, trying to do the right thing, when the right thing was just to follow the ball. But other than that, I thought he played a flawless game.
So with that being said, we were both impressed with how cool, calm, and collective he looked. It's a different ball game with the national attention, with the Monday Night Football, and you have to wait an extra day for the game. How will he handle the pressure of that, in your opinion?
It's hard to predict that because, we don't really know. He's saying all the right things, and he's acting the right way. Here's the thing that I'm more concerned with than the Monday night game, and all that. And it will be by far the biggest stage he's ever been on. North Dakota State didn't play a lot of Monday night football games. So that's one thing. But, as well as he played, and the Browns didn't, like I said earlier, he had only played 2 quarters of preseason football against a bunch of backups from Tampa Bay. So that's all the Browns really had to go on when they prepared for him. Now the Bears have the Browns game to watch, and as he goes forward, the Steelers will have both the Browns game and the Bears game. And then I guess they play the Lions after that. The Lions will have 3 games and so on and so on. So the more he plays, the more other teams' defensive coordinators will have to look at and come up with things that he's never seen before, and come up with different schemes and different blitz packages. And So it will get a little tougher for him from that aspect. Now, on the flip side is the more he plays, the more he'll see, and you hope he picks up on things and he gets better as well.
So with that being said, tougher opponent this week against the Chicago Bears. Their defense was middle of the pack last year. How do you see that defense going up against Carson Wentz coming up on Monday night?
I think the Bears improved their defense this offseason. I love Danny Trevathan, the linebacker that they signed from Denver. He was part of the Denver Super Bowl championship team. He's a very athletic inside linebacker. He makes plays. He had a pretty good game in his opener against the Texans. I think they'll use him in a variety of ways to, both in coverage. He may blitz a few times. Their first round pick was Floyd from Georgia, who they traded up to. They picked him with the 9th overall pick. He had a sack last week against the Texans. So the Bears and I'm a big John Fox guy. I think he's a good head coach and a very good deep defensive guy. He has Vic Fangio as his coordinator. So the Bears are very well coached on the defensive side of the ball. So they'll have some things ready for Carson Wentz. Now, if Wentz handles them, the Eagles really might have something special here.
We're talking to Mark Eckel in his weekly spot on the Zach Gelb Show. Fox Sports 920, the Jersey. Mark does a really good job covering the Eagles for a long time for NJ.com. So let's get to the injury update. It looks like no Zach Ertz this week, no Leotis McKelvin. I know they're week to week. How about the health of the Eagles right now?
Yeah, those two guys probably aren't. I mean, Ertz is definitely not going to play. I don't think McKelvin's going to play either. And the Ertz loss is especially tough. I mean, he made two of the biggest plays of the game last week, I thought, for the Eagles. He had the great one-handed catch early in the game that got him their first down, and they went down to score after that. And then he had the big 4th and 4 play when Wentz went to him on 4th down. They convert the first down, and the next play is the touchdown pass to Aguilar. So, Zach Ertz is kind of I think one of the most important people in this offense in terms of his reliability. He's not going to make the big, gigantic, the 35-yard touchdown pass play, but he's your 3rd down guy, and last week 4th down guy, almost like Wentz's security blanket. And without him there, I think that's a tough spot for the Eagles. Trey Burton, a good young player, has made his name on special teams. He's an excellent special teams player. Maybe he'll come out and this will be his breakout party for Trey Burton. But he's only played 69 snaps of offense in his first 31 games in the league. So not a lot of experience on the offensive side of the ball for Burton. So that's a big loss, I think, for the Eagles this week, not having Zach Ertz.
Last week, Nelson Aguilar, he surprised me with that big 35-yard touchdown reception. What do you expect out of Nelson this week? Because they're going to rely on him a little bit more to catch some more footballs with Zach Ertz not being able to go this week.
I think Aguilar has a nice game. I think I've always, I'm probably the last Aguilar guy around.
Not a lot left.
I loved him coming out. I really did. Loved him at USC. Thought that was a great pick when the Eagles made it. Wasn't sure if he was going to get there to a 20 when they took him. And then like a lot of us, I was surprised that he didn't do much last year. I think the ankle injury was a factor. I really do. But I still believe that Nelson Aguilar, he might not be the great player that I thought he was going to be, but I still think he's going to be a good player. And he had a good game opening week. Beat Joe Hayden. I mean, here's one thing to think about when people want to criticize Nelson. Week to week, and look and go back last year and look. The other team always puts their best cornerback on him. Always. The Browns had Joe Hayden on him last week. So he faces the other team's top corner week after week. That tells me that when the defense, when they have their game plan meetings during the week, they decide that that's the guy they have to cover. So that tells me a little bit. But I think he's maturing. I think he's getting a little better. I expect him to have another decent. I expect him to have the same kind of game, if not better, than he had last week. 5 or 6 catches, whatever many yards, maybe another touchdown. So yeah, I think Aguilar's. I think we're starting to see the real Nelson Aguilar.
I'm just wondering, when they play the Redskins, does Josh Norman get to cover Nelson Aguilar?
He did in Carolina last year.
Well, Josh Norman this week didn't cover Antonio Brown. That was a disgrace.
That was just and the Eagles do this sometimes too, and it bothers me because Jim Johnson, who I had the most respect for,
love Jim
of almost any coach, he would match up. He would put he had Troy Vincent and Bobby Taylor for a long time. Then he had Lito Shepherd and Sheldon Brown. And I know when he had Troy and Bobby, Bobby would cover the bigger, taller receiver because Bobby was like 6'3", and Troy would cover the faster receiver. Like, for instance, when they played the Giants all those years, it was Amani Toomer and Ike Hilliard. Well, Bobby covered Amani Toomer and Troy covered Ike Hilliard. It didn't matter where they lined up. Troy was on Ike and Bobby was on Amani. That's just the way it was. Lately, teams just leave the one guy on the left, the other guy on the right, and they let the offense kind of dictate to them who's covering who. I don't think that makes sense to me. I would match up.
So let's get to the defense. I know the Browns are an extremely stale offensive product, but what takeaways do you take positive and what negative from the Eagles' defensive performance up against the Browns?
Well, positive, they stopped the run again. The Browns had some rushing yards. A lot of that was garbage at the end of the game when it was on. They let the Browns kind of wanted to run the clock out as well, and they let them run for like 15 yards here and 18 yards there, whatever it was. So I thought the run defense, for the most part, just took they took the Browns' running game out of it. The pass rush came on late. It wasn't great early, but it came on late when they kind of knew they had to throw. So that was a good sign. The biggest concern I have, and going forward it becomes a bigger concern, is I didn't think the secondary played great. The Browns receivers, I think by my count, dropped 7 passes. And it wasn't like the Eagles had it. It's not like the Eagles knocked the ball loose. No, the Browns just dropped them. So if you had 7 completions for whatever many yards it would have been to the Browns passing game, RG3 all of a sudden has a much better game. The passing stats look a lot better. And then there was a couple other plays. I remember one where Ron Brooks, the Eagles' nickel, was clearly beat for a touchdown, and RG3 overthrew his receiver. So the Eagles' secondary, I think, needs to play better. Starting this week against three pretty good wide receivers with the Browns.
Yeah, but I'll tell you, for this week, the Bears can't block for Jay Cutler, so that Eagles defensive line should have a feast and a field day on Jay Cutler, right?
Well, I got to think the Bears know that, and they'll kind of correct that, won't they? They're not going to just leave him out there.
You hope so, right?
I would think they'll max protect a little bit more, maybe. We'll see. If they don't, same on the Bears, and you're right, the Eagles will have a feast. But like I said, I have a lot of respect for John Fox. I think John Fox is a pretty good coach.
Agreed.
He saw what happened last week in Houston. They got 5 sacks. Houston's got a pretty good pass rush, too. So let's not shortchange the Texans there. But, that's the key. That, to me, I'm glad you brought that, because I think the key to the whole game is, do the Eagles get pressure on Jay Cutler? I mean, with Jay Cutler's career has been black and white. There's very little gray with Jay Cutler. He's either good or he's bad. And he has very few middle of the road games. He's had some games where he gets in a rhythm and he gets on a flow. He's a pretty darn good quarterback, and he throws a nice ball. But when you get to him early, rattle him a little bit, he can turn into the bad Jay Cutler that's going to throw a couple picks and make some bad decisions, and that's what the Eagles need. The Eagles need to see the bad Jay Cutler.
So before we let you run, give me a prediction for this week. Monday Night Football, Eagles-Bears. Does Carson Wentz go 2-0, or do they get him back to 500 and everyone settles down a little bit?
Yeah, I think the latter. I hate to say I think they settle down. I just think it's always a tough spot on the road Monday night. It's the Bears' home opener. And again, I have to go back to the fact that Zach Ertz isn't going to be there. That's a big loss. I think that's a bigger loss than people realize. I mean, Brent Selleck is still a good tight end, but he's kind of on the back end of his career. Trey Burton, again, athletic, but that's the surprise. If the Eagles win, it's going to be because Trey Burton had his coming out party.
Okay.
I really believe. I mean, Burton has to step up and play well, and it's hard for me to say he will because he never has. But he can. I mean, I wouldn't be stunned. I mean, the kid has athletic ability. We see it every week on special teams, and we've seen a little bit of it in the preseason. But I just think it's asking a lot of the Eagles to go into Chicago and win the game without one of their best weapons on offense and without a starting cornerback on defense as well.
I'll tell you right now, as big as a star as Carson Wentz is right now in South Jersey and also Philadelphia, you're even a bigger star with your book. Tell me the latest on the book tour and where you're going and where you're signing and all the babies that you're kissing.
Well, the next one will be tomorrow, Saturday afternoon at noon. I'll be at a place called Cheese Dogs.
Ooh.
Best hot dogs around. I don't even like hot dogs that much, but they're the best around. And it's in Feasterville on Bustleton Road, almost on the border between Bucks County and northeast Philly. I'll be there from noon to about 2 or 3, signing books. And then next Friday, I won't talk to you again until the next Friday. I'll be at the Soup King in Ben Salem, Pennsylvania, on Ben Salem Boulevard, signing books, signing copies of the Big 50. And there's a bunch more after, but we'll get to them as we go along.
You got it, Mark. Great job as always. We'll talk to you next week.
Thank you, Zach.